Do you remember seeing your baby for the first time? You were probably filled with joy and excitement. But then came the sleepless nights, fights with your partner, and going into work exhausted. Postpartum depression is real, but mothers are not the only ones at risk. Science says it strikes a lot of new dads as well. According to one study, 1 in 10 men around the world experience paternal postpartum depression, or PPPD, and most men suffering from it don't even know it. So why isn't postpartum depression more widely acknowledged in men? What causes postpartum depression, and what can be done to help new dads? A meta-analysis of 46 studies found that in the United States, 1 in 7 dads, or roughly 14%, becomes depressed after his child is born. That's 1,500 dads per day afflicted with depression. Not only that, but between 3 and 6 months after birth, the risk for dads to experience depression climbs to 25%. However, postpartum depression is not easy to spot in fathers. One reason for this is simply that new dads aren't screened for depression in the way new moms are. Another reason is that, according to some research, men are more reluctant than women to seek help for mental health issues. So, when men start to feel anxious, frustrated, or out of control after a baby arrives, they don't understand it, and more often than not, they don't ask for help. This puts them at a higher risk of their condition going untreated. One common myth is men don't experience hormonal changes. Therefore, they can't get postpartum depression or anxiety. But research shows that men do get hormonal changes around the birth of children. Testosterone levels drop, estrogen, prolactin, and cortisol levels go up, and these changes can contribute to PPPD. Hormones may play a part, but the strongest predictor of male postpartum is female postpartum. According to a review of 20 studies, if the wife is depressed, the man is twice as likely to develop postpartum depression. Researchers concluded that during the first postpartum year, the incidence of paternal depression ranged from 1.2% to 25.5% in community samples, and from 24 to 50% among men whose partners were experiencing postpartum depression. Now, let's talk about how we can help new dads. First things first, we need to be screaming dads for postpartum depression. Men often struggle with depression differently than women do. They do not tend to cry or remain constantly sad. Rather, their depression tends to look more like irritability and anger, working constantly, drinking or gambling too much, or other impulsive behaviors. So, female partners and family members should look out for any sign of something unusual or out of character in new dads. Finally, the worst thing a new dad can do is ignore the problem. It's important that they consult a mental health professional and get treatment for their depression. After all, a parent's mental health ultimately affects the entire family. How does a depressed parent negatively affect his or her child's development? And what could the actions of a parent do to a child's long-term development? That's a topic for another episode.